What's up, YouTube? It's Ken Toddy coming back at y'all another reaction video. And today, we got how the NBA media became so toxic. Alright, this is a video coming from Nonstop. Pre-WRL, man. Let me know in the comments.
Landscape has started to look
Nonstop
like the
always coming with the
version
banger
of the
videos, though.
Seems like every couple of weeks, some former player grabs national headlines and creates drama out of thin air. Isaiah Thomas recently went off on LeBron.
I would never
Bro, this was so dumb right
here. Walk out on the floor looking like this.
Kendrick Perkins had notable beefs with Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, LeBron, and plenty of others. Shaquille O'Neal might be the biggest provocateur of all, having public feuds with JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Rudy Gobert, KD, Donovan Mitchell.
You don't have what it takes to get to the next level. I said it on purpose. I want you to hear it. What do you have to say about that?
As well as beefing with other analysts like Shannon Sharpe. Shaq's colleague on Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley, often shows distaste for the current state of the NBA, bashing the style of play and calling players soft.
They don't play every game, they rest, they fly private jets. When I played, we flew commercial.
Chuck's recent feud with the Lakers coach JJ Redick is just the tip of the iceberg, as he's had feuds with Kobe, Bron, and KD, along with many others. Even former players who are not constantly featured on national media find ways to criticize when they appear on various podcasts. Wally Szczerbiak called Tyrese Halliburton a wannabe all-star.
It's funny because I don't even know who that is. A wannabe all-star, and I don't even know who you
called
are.
Tyrese Halliburton a wannabe all-star.
Now, I might be a casual because he sounds... This sounds like... Oh, wait. I don't know what he does. I don't know, bro. But calling Tyrese Halliburton a wannabe all-star, now look where he's at. I remember hearing about this, though. a wannabe all-star. I don't know what he does. He might just be like a journalist or something. He might not even play in the league. But I remember this right here, man. I remember this. Now look where Tyrese Halliburton at, man. And today is June 5th, so that means the finals is coming on today. Let me know who y'all got winning that. I got OKC, though. I mean, but do not doubt the Pacers. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers ended up winning it, but I think I'm 90% sure OKC is going to win this championship. I think it's going to go in 5 or 6 games. I don't think it's going to be 7 games, though. But the Indiana Pacers have a chance.
Wannabe all-star, let me keep it that way. He's in his second year, he's a very good player, he's not going to make the all-star team.
Although Halliburton is a much better player than Szczerbiak ever was.
No disrespect to the people who come before me, but I don't know, he had a lot to say about me.
Alright, I turned up the gain on my microphone. I think it was
first,
probably
who
low.
is this?
Magic Johnson often finds a way to poke current players, most recently clashing with Anthony Edwards.
So I had to just hit him, like, look, man, talk to me when you want something.
Who y'all got, Steph or Magic? Who the better point guard?
The NBA, LeBron stood in his defense.
Y'all know
citing
Steph my
the trend
favorite player.
of negative media coverage.
Why do you want to be the face of the league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody?
The NBA is the only sports league in the world where former players and media are constantly talking trash about the current players.
And I see people, fans are mad that we got Indiana versus OKC matchup. Why are fans mad about that, bro? 2 young stars in the league leading their team to a finals. What is there to complain about? The MVP going to the finals. What is there to complain about, bro? It's unexpected. That's what you want in sports, bro. I get it. Steph and LeBron are my 2 favorite players, but we can't watch that every single year, bro. They old now. Bro. I mean, it's time for the new stars. So come on, bro. It'd be washed. It'd be played out if we keep having that. Come on now, bro. We can't have the same teams going each time. Even though I would oh shit, what was that? Even though I would like that because I'm a Warriors fan, but come on now, it's played out, bro. We got young stars, bro. We got a young NBA, bro. We got Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Shea. Come on now, bro.
Downgrading the level of the product, even though the skill level in the NBA is the highest it's ever been.
If you're not a fan of the
Meanwhile, in
Pacers
NFL,
versus the
Joe
Thunder, bro,
Montana
you're just
going
not a
on
fan of the
podcasts
NBA.
and throwing young quarterbacks under the bus. Wayne Gretzky never
they are
downplays the
playing
current
poor.
level of hockey in the NHL, and Derek Jeter doesn't talk trash about today's shortstops in Major League Baseball. But why is the NBA so toxic? Why did it become the National Hater League? How did creating drama seem to become the media's main goal, instead of praising the sport and the superstars who push the league forward? Some 40 years ago, back in the 80s, the relationship between the NBA superstars and the media was in a much better place. The league had a much smaller following, and both the league and its stars needed to have great relationships with journalists, since it was in everybody's best interest to push a great story forward. So beat reporters used to travel with stars on team flights. They'd grab drinks and have dinner with players, and the relationships were so intimate that reporters even got invited to players' homes. Jack McCallum, a longtime NBA writer for Sports Illustrated, covered Michael Jordan's career intimately, and it was a mutually beneficial friendship, since Jordan needed a media voice to increase visibility as there was no widespread TV coverage.
All of our games are on television every single day. In the 80s and the 90s, you may be able to catch one game if you had it locally. If your team had a local broadcast deal, you could catch it. And if not, then you may not see a game once every couple of weeks. You maybe catch 1 or 2 games, every other week.
Occasionally, McCallum and other beat writers would write something negative about the players they were covering, but due to the long-lasting relationships they've built, those disagreements would be smoothed out instantly. By the late 90s, the popularity of the NBA blew up, and so did the coverage of the league. Even though beat reporters still had the most powerful voice, TV shows like Inside the NBA started to gain a lot of traction. When Charles Barkley joined Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson on TNT, the show became a sensation.
You're a rookie, you'll go last. Kenny Smith is here. Peter Vesey is here.
And what separated Inside the NBA from all the other media forms was their sense of humor, along with the traditional basketball commentary.
I got my new aim high hyper. Nike made that whole shoe for me. Hold on, that's the wrong foot.
And even though the guys on Inside criticized players, Smith and Barkley had all the credibility in the world, since they were both former players, and because they weren't shy of making fun of themselves.
And that's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Hey, your mom's birthday on Halloween?
Halloween, man.
I'm not even gonna touch that.
You met my mother yesterday. You better be nice.
I love your mother.
There you go.
But then, in 2007, ESPN launched First Take with Skip Bayless, who first popularized debate shows in America.
Their superstar, their MVP, their Michael Jordan refused to play in the second half when he had a little finger injury.
However, it wasn't until 2012 and Stephen A. Smith's arrival at First Take that the show really exploded, becoming the #1 sports talk show in America. Bayless and Smith's passionate debates captured audiences unlike anything else on TV, and they became more popular than the majority of the players they were covering, even though their knowledge of the sport was moderate at best.
Well, first of all, you have the presumption that people care what you say. They don't.
Bayless recognized that controversy spiked the ratings far more than any positive talk, so he kept milking the cash cow. He first garnered national attention by critiquing Allen Iverson.
I don't know you, but trust me, I do not hate you. And I sincerely love, and I've said this many times, watching the offensive shows that you do put on. And I sincerely hope I have now inspired you to win your first NBA championship. But it ain't going to happen.
And with LeBron James, he went one step further, becoming the biggest, or at least the loudest, LeBron hater in the world.
The most talented player in the game, in 4 of the last 5 playoffs, has flamed out.
Skip became known as the person who feuds with athletes and says obnoxious things that no one else would dare to say.
I'm better than you. Shut up, my boy, sir. Shut up, my boy, sir. Hey, Seahawks winning. Hey, for my football fans, Seahawks were winning the NFC this year. I'm gonna just let y'all know that, bro.
Skip started calling him Bosh Spice because he felt Bosh played soft and with a lack of aggression.
To me, it's going over the line when you say Bosh Spice, because that's referring to him as being a female.
Bosh had a problem with the Bosh Spice nickname, and so he went on First Take and confronted Skip.
My great-grandfather, my father, my grandfather, my aunts and uncles, we're very prideful with the Bosh name, and I don't like it being made fun of, and I don't think they appreciate it either.
But
W. Chris Bosh, I didn't even know about that.
He was drawing more viewers than anybody else on TV. That's all that mattered to him. Back then, social media was in its infancy, and athletes didn't have the voice or the platform to combat hot takes from the likes of Bayless and Stephen A. And because they were so good at what they did, Bayless and Smith started a revolution, where it no longer mattered to have great relationships with the players, as long as the ratings were good. Over the next decade, debate shows started to blossom, with many of them saying outlandish stuff to boost the ratings.
Damn it, I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of stuff like this. Ooh, I got you. You all right?
Damn, he
I'm
hit the
sorry, I
girl?
did too much.
But with the rise of technology and social media, the athletes started talking too, creating shows and podcasts of their own. However, even though the athletes could finally fight back and had full control over their words, the media discourse didn't get any better. In fact, it got worse.
There were infamous moments in First Takes history where an athlete went directly to a talker and said, "You don't know what you're talking about."
With new podcasts emerging seemingly every day, there was a complete frenzy resembling reality TV. Instead of talking about basketball and everyday storylines of the NBA, a lot of media coverage became responding to what other people said on various podcasts and talk shows.
I'm just telling you, I want to punch his ass in the face. I do.
If you feel that strongly about something, he's seen me a million times. If he feel that strongly about it, then punch me in my face when you see me.
Tell him then, Dre.
The new
Tell
media,
him.
a term coined by Draymond Green, was battling the old media and the likes of Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, who were still thriving on debate shows. Perkins in particular became a national sensation for his hot takes.
When you come on TV and now you're taking yourself out of the basketball space and you coming on here and you being the NBA analyst, homies don't matter no more. You gotta come on here and speak the truth.
And a willingness to upset current NBA players, some of whom were his former teammates.
We all need to come to realization that James Harden's game is on the decline right before our very eyes.
Like many others, Big Perk followed the
Bro,
blueprint
Perkins'
set up
game
by
was on the
Skip Bayless.
decline when he
But
stepped
since he was
in
a
the
former
league,
player and an NBA champion, his voice was arguably even more powerful, and it set up a series of controversies that became national news. Perk had beef with Kevin Durant, calling his move to Golden State the weakest he's ever seen. A few years later, Perk had a feud with Draymond, who didn't hold anything back.
Because all these dumb talking heads and never done it, they don't understand it. Even the one that has done it don't act like he's done it because he's an idiot and a moron and wasn't really that good of a player.
Facts.
And so I'm talking about Kendrick Perkins, by the way.
Of course, Perkins retaliated, which created another wave of news cycle that had nothing to do with the actual NBA.
We all know, dog. We all know. You all bark and no bite. We know this. The NBA brothers know this.
When LeBron James had an on-court disagreement with Stephen A. Smith about the coverage of his son Bronny, Stephen A. went on a talking marathon about the incident.
That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard.
Smith talked about LeBron for a whole week.
I thought it was weak. I thought it was some bullshit. But in the moment, I knew that I was
he
listening
tripped out
to
in
a
this
father.
interview right here.
And Perkins joined in, citing that he's no longer friends with James and that he blocked him on social media. Players have long hated being criticized, but something is different now. The comments are meaner, nastier, and more personal.
I think people in the media have gotten too comfortable, especially with our sport. They got too comfortable where, you know, back in the day, like for sure, you would never bring up Charles Oakley's brother.
Yeah.
Charles Oakley will smack you through his brother.
When Charles Barkley said that the Grizzlies point guard John Morant wasn't the kind of player who made his teammates better, Morant replied with one word on Twitter: knee pads, alluding that Barkley can assume the kneeling position to not be more graphic, even though Barkley's
W tweet by John. I didn't even peep that. I didn't even, bro. It took me, bro. I didn't even catch hold of that.
Criticism of Morant
I don't
was
even think I've
fairly
ever seen
reasonable
that
at the
tweet
time
before.
and wasn't really trash talk. What Sir Charles ranted about JJ
W
Redick
comment
and the
by
Lakers
John, bro.
can hardly be described as constructive criticism.
JJ, if you come for the king, you better not miss it. Because I can get you, brother. Because I got your Lakers games. We're the reason ratings are down. Oh, we're the reason. We're the reason. Like we playing.
If I'm a casual fan and you tell me every time I turn on the television that the product sucks, well, I'm not going to watch the product. And
facts.
That's really what has happened.
JJ got a
over the
point.
last 10 to 15 years. I don't know why. It's not funny to me.
Redick's remarks were on point, because what's the point of berating the league that feeds everyone's mouths, including those of analysts? But Barkley strongly disagreed, doubling down on his take that the league is in a bad place with the amount of three-point shooting.
If you're just going to come out and have a three-point shooting contest every night, that's going to turn the average fan off.
However, with all the
he has a
comparisons
point with
to
that
old
too.
times and that players in the previous eras were better, it's hard to argue with JJ's point. Granted, basketball in the 90s was more physical, and it's the biggest reason why the players from that era think of today's players as soft. But just because the rules allowed guys to punch each other when driving to the basket, it doesn't mean the actual basketball was better. On the contrary, the level of basketball is better than ever, as pretty much every player can dribble, pass, and shoot. Moreover, in today's NBA, it's much harder to play defense, because you gotta run after the Steph Currys of the world for an entire possession.
Curry for three, yes sir!
You can't grab people because of the hand-checking rule, and you can't knock players out under the pretense of playing hard defense. On offense, there's a lot more passing before the actual shot.
One more. Harris, 3 more.
And since there's more space on the floor, there's much more player movement, screening, and cutting. More often than not, all 5 players are involved in the action and touch the ball before the actual shot. And sure, while it's true that a lot of shots in the current NBA are three-pointers, what some old NBA players and fans seem to forget is that the 3 is simply replacing the long 2, because it's more efficient and players are more skilled to hit from the outside. Yes, it's not all positive, as some of the fouls called today are really ticky-tacky, and because of the taunting rule, you can hardly celebrate a great play without receiving a
that's why I like watching like people like Devin Booker and Shea play, bro, because they not going. I know Anthony Edwards, since he's right here, I'll talk about him. He has a problem sometimes with taking too many 3-point shots as well, but he's also an animal, so I can't even really say nothing. But like some players, they take a lot of 3-point shots. Like the Celtics, man, they take a lot of 3-point shots. I know we started it. When I say we, I mean the Golden State Warriors. I know we started it, but they like overdoing it. We perfected it while we was doing it. But like some of these other teams, like the Celtics, bro, they like, bruh, they going overboard with it. But that's why I like watching like Devin Booker and Shea and like Kyrie, I don't know who to say, but Jalen Brunson, yeah, that's like, bro, that's why I like watching them, because they not gonna settle for no 3-point shot. Jason Tatum settled for 3-point shots a lot, bro. They gonna hit you with some nice moves and then hit a pull-up midi or something. You know, Jalen Brunson, even though he undersized guard, he gonna post you up, you know, make you feel him no D, bump fade, midi, stuff like that, post moves, and then bro, that's why I like watching those kind of players, because they don't just settle for the 3 and then it's kind of getting played out. But teams are trying to win. 3 is more than 2.
Technical foul.
Come on, man. No way. Come on, man.
But overall, the level of basketball,
it was
is
exciting
at an all-time
watching
high.
Steph and Clay,
And even
because
though over 40% of all shots are 3-pointers, the action that
Clay, they was
precedes
just doing
the
it. It was
3-point
just
shot
pretty.
is filled with a great deal of skill, dribble penetration, movement, and cutting. Compare it to the 90s and the early 2000s, when the game was played inside the 3-point arc, you'll see a lot of static play, with the majority of players just standing around and watching one player dribble the ball for 20 seconds against one defender in isolation.
I done came back and watched some of these
old
old games too.
Half the league attempted 400 or more total threes in the first 6 seconds.
But what
of
I
shot
can
clock.
say is I do think the players were more passionate back then than they are now. I think I think they loved basketball way more back then than they did. They were way more competitive. They got more passion, fiery. I can't admit that, but they're skill-wise, no, they're not messing with this group. They're not messing with this group of people, bro.
So these early shot clock threes, same thing, 55%.
Really?
It's a good shot.
I can't wrap my head around it. Am I too old school?
In the clear evolution in basketball play, you still get old heads talking about the good old times, and that players from this era couldn't play 30 or 40 years ago.
Yes, they could.
Most players
That's
who played
a
in the
lie. I hate
90s are
when they
still
say
going on various podcasts and saying that Jordan would average 50 in today's game. While it's true that MJ was the greatest player of his
Jordan
era,
would be
it's
like
complete
DeMar DeRozan
nonsense to think he would average
in
20
today's
points
game.
more than Steph,
Or maybe
KD,
like
LeBron,
Kawhi Leonard or
Jokic.
something like
And you know
that.
why we know that's nonsense? Because Jordan didn't average 20 points more than Adrian Dantley, Dominique Wilkins, and Larry Bird when he played against them. By the same logic, if Jordan would average 50, then Dantley, Bird, and Neek would all score over 40 and would be better players than pretty much any player of today. And do you really think that Adrian Dantley is a better player than LeBron or KD? Look, with all respect to Dantley, who was a heck of a player, he's not better than those guys. And the question should
I
be,
don't even know
could
who Buddy
he play
is.
in today's era? not the other way around. A big reason why there's hate from old
I'll do some
NBA
research after
alumni
this video,
is jealousy stemming from the fame, status, and money that the current players are enjoying today. Role players of today
I think I missed it. I think I
stemming
heard
from the
something.
fame, status, and money that the current from old NBA could he play in today's era, not the other way around. A big reason why there's hate from old NBA alumni is jealousy stemming from the fame, status, and money that the
Thank
current players are enjoying
you, thank you, bro. It's all just jealousy because they paved the way. Now they mad that, bruh. The old heads paved the way, and now the younger players that came after them are getting paid all this money. So they feel like they should be getting a piece of that steak too, man. Like, come on, bro. That's all it is. If the old players got paid what these players were getting paid, they wouldn't talk so much, bro. Like, the contract differences, like, I don't know how much they getting paid in the G League, but it could be very well one of them old players' contracts that they got in the NBA or something like that. Like, come on now. Like, this is all where it stems from right here is the jealousy.
today. Role players of today earn 10 times what superstars got 30 or 40 years ago. And that's not sitting well with some of the old heads. Times what superstars got 30 or 40 years ago.
Oh my
God. That's not sitting well with some of the old heads, especially since they had to fly commercial, didn't have proper health care, and were dealing with elbows to the head from opponents nightly. However, on the flip side, modern NBA players are under more scrutiny than ever before, with everyone and their grandma commenting on their every mistake.
Ja Morant has the skill.
They was just born in the wrong era.
Power to make him one of the faces of
That's
the
all it
NBA.
is.
But for the second time in 3 months, we're not talking about his unique talent. We're talking about his choices.
In today's media, every shortcoming of a great player too often draws comparisons with the players of old and sparks another hot debate of who was better. If LeBron passes up the opportunity to get a three-point shot, there are great chances that Stephen A. Smith will go on First Take the next day and talk about how LeBron doesn't have a killer mentality and that Jordan would never pass up that shot.
What the hell was that?
And that kind of talk is unnecessary. There's also no reason to throw current players under the bus every other day.
I had Jordan #1, Kobe #2, and I had James Harden at #3, and I was tripping.
To be fair, Stephen A., Kendrick Perkins, and Charles Barkley, they're great at what they do.
Bro,
but
I
to
hate
validate
listening to
JJ
Kendrick
Redick's point,
Perkins
you can
talk,
still be
bro,
great
because
at
he
talking
talked
about
like he was
basketball
ever,
without
like,
diminishing
some
the
big
value of the
superstar,
NBA and its current superstars. People like Kevin Garnett, Matt Barnes, and Larry Bird are always complimentary about today's players.
You see these old broken down NBA players talking about their era and how great they were back then, and the players today are not as good as they were back then. That's crazy, man. I mean, obviously you haven't seen LeBron James the last 17, 18 years. You didn't see Klay Thompson score 37 points in 1 quarter. Or obviously you don't see James Harden come down the lane getting ready to dunk on whoever's standing there. I mean, it's just amazing how these guys are playing the game today. And I couldn't be more prouder of them.
And they have great
W.
successful
Bird.
shows without bashing
Magic
the modern
next to
era.
him couldn't
I don't
relate,
see
though.
why former players feel like it's their spot, or does it make them feel better to disrespect these
Give
guys?
respect when it's due.
To me, this is super weak. I don't like it. There's been 5,000 players in the history of the NBA, so that's why it bothers me when former players feel like they have to on the younger players. Matt Barnes. However, in the world we live in, negativity and drama will get more clicks and views than celebrating basketball. That's why, for example, ESPN fired Zach Lowe, who is one of the best analysts in the history of the profession, while Stephen A. Smith has a contract more lucrative than 80% of NBA players. That being said, it's fair to say that the current NBA media ecosystem is flawed, but both sides can still find some form of middle ground. Most fans don't want to watch Mind the Game every day and dwell on basketball tactics Monday through Sunday. For a casual fan, it's easier and more fun to follow debate shows. And that's perfectly fine, as both programs can coexist, and all parties involved can have mutual respect for each other.
Why are you shooting the ball in warm-up and you never shoot it in the game?
I shoot when I have to, Chuck.
Enjoy the beautiful game of basketball and the great league that is the NBA. Thank you for watching.
All right, that's it. Shout out nonstop. If you like this reaction video right here, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. I'm out. Lay out, boys.